Hey friends, welcome to my channel. I'm a little bit addicted to making shadow boxes, so I wanted to actually show a little bit of a less clunky way, because last time I was just feeling my way through it, but you can really make these any size that you want. And so the only reason why this is limited to 9x9 for a finished box, shadow box of 5x5, is because of the length of this. But if you have a larger scoreboard, then you don't have that same limit. And so what I have been doing, what I discovered in my last video, was that all you really need to do is score every half an inch. This is 8.5 by 11. It's a piece of the solid color cardstock that came in the Merry Moments kit by Spellbinders. It's their mega card making kit, which I love and look forward to every year. So this is a fun one to craft with, and there's loads in here, so you could make, I think they give you 25 card bases, a mix of A2 and 5x7, but I think this is going to be a really fun holiday project, is to make these little shadow boxes. And you can create little scenes in here, and you can create this almost like it's meant to be a card that's meant to be put on display. Of course, you would want to ship it in a box, since it is rather dimensional. So all I've done is scored at half an inch, 1.5, 2. And if I use this entire 11-inch length, what's going to happen is once this all folds in, I'll have a finished size of 7 inches. And you just, whatever paper you're starting with, subtract 4 inches. And that is the final size. So I just am going to maximize this and make an entire 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to score half an inch on half, 1.5, 2 along all 4 edges. And I'm not going to even cut it down at all. That way we can maximize our A2, or sorry, our US letter size paper. And then the finished size will be along the 8.5-inch edge minus 4. You'll have 4.5 by 7 when we're done. So it's already going to be a rather custom item, so why not just not create more scraps and just use everything. So then now the key that we need, and I like to do this along the longer edge, so this is along the 11-inch edge. I'm going to use the punch, and you need to punch twice on all 4 corners. So I like to do the long edge, and I'll punch once, and then that will enable me to slide it down some more. So I slide it more as far as I can, and I punch again. So by the time you finish punching, you'll see this lines up right where the innermost 2 score lines are, and then you have this extra shape here. So now that we have that, we want to do the same thing on this side. So in order to punch that same pattern on this side, flip this over to the back, slide it in as far as you can go, punch, and slide it in some more, and punch a second time. So now we need to mirror this on that side. So then you flip it back to the front, and you rinse and repeat. So slide this in, and then flip for the 4th and final. Okay, so there's that. Now what I want to do is all of these score lines I want to mount and fold and burnish. So just fold, burnish. These are so fast to put together. It's a lot faster than other. So I have dies that help you to do this, and I feel like this is a lot faster than cutting with dies and assembling, because when you cut with the dies, it really just gives you each of the 4 sides, and then you have to glue those together. And I feel like I've been really successful at using the Tonic Studio frame dies. I love those. And there's a little bit of variety or adjustability so that you can make it the length that you want. But I feel like if you have a long scoreboard, you can truly make any size, any aspect ratio shadow box you want. Because it's the punch that is the unique part, the tough part to do by hand, but the scoring, you don't necessarily need that scoreboard that's built into the punch board. You can use your own scoreboard, and that gives you the ability to use larger papers and score longer lines. So, I missed one. So I like burnishing so that we get crisp edges for our box. So when this all gets rolled in, each of these segments is 1/2 inch. And so you're going to end up with an interior dimension of what's visible that is 1 inch smaller. So the exterior is 4.5 by 7, and then you reduce that by another inch in both directions, so 3.5 by 6 is the interior dimension, which means that I can still use 6 by 6 pattern papers to give myself a little bit of a background here. So I can pick something just really, I kind of like these. Some of these are foiled, which is really lovely. I kind of feel like I want something a little bit, one of these foiled sheets feels like it would be really nice. So maybe a little shine here. So I can put this back here, and that'll just be a nice backdrop for whatever scene we want to maybe create in front. And one of the nice things about the kit is there's just so much to craft with. I mean, there's ephemera, there's stickers, there's more frames that we can use. Those are really cute. There's some faux wax seals, some chipboard embellishments. I thought maybe I could put some of these in here too. So that would be kind of fun. And you can even imagine making this light up also. So I could see myself maybe doing like adding a pear blossom press light to this also. So let's start with this though. So we are going to have a visible, I mean, this is going to be like right up to the edge along the long dimension, because this is 6 inches visible on the inside. So that's exactly, there's not going to be any overlap. It's going to fit exactly 6 inches. So I do want to just make sure that I get that really centered nicely. But in the other direction, it is 4.5, but what's visible is only 3.5. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this to I think I want it in that direction. So I'm gonna cut this down to 4. Because let me just double check our measurements. So I only want to cut this one time. So it's 4.5. So what's visible will be 3.5, and then here it's 7. So what's visible will be 6. So I'll cut this to 4. That should be plenty. And then we'll get this adhered so that it's a nice backdrop. Okay, so now I do want to be careful because along the 7-inch side here, there's not going to be much of any overlap. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to fold this down so I can actually tell where. So when this pops up, it'll be like that. So this will get glued down basically like that. So I just want to make sure that if this is like an absolute perfect fit, that I just hold this down with my magnet on that side, and I'll hold it down with my magnet on this side. And then that way, when I put this background paper in, so you can see it's just gonna fit right inside. I might be able to tuck it a little bit under one of those edges, but not by a lot. So I'm just gonna go like that, and okay. So that really ensures that once this is adhered down, it won't be visible. Okay, so there's that, and what I've been doing is putting dry adhesive on the angled pieces, which I like to get these anchored down first. So I kind of like making the plain box, but I do like having a little bit something behind there just to have a little bit of a start to the seam. And then I'm going to peel this back, give it a line of liquid adhesive so that it's nice and permanent. And I like to just fold this down, tuck it right into the corner, and I do like to fold it down nice and flat so that I can burnish. And the nice thing with using the dry adhesive is that it's gonna hold it. It'll be a nice fast grab, but the liquid adhesive will make it nice and permanent. So this edge needs to go right up against the score line, the innermost score line. And once you get it in place, you can fold it down flat, and then you know it's definitely going to be in the right spot. Okay, so there's that. And then the last two edges, I like to just put liquid adhesive here. And kind of have to roll this in, tuck it under both. This is why I like the liquid adhesive, gives you plenty of time. So you just want to get it under both, and then I fold it down flat again so that I can burnish it. And when you fold it flat like this, you know that it's in the exact right spot for everything to kind of be nice and squared. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. I haven't watched other videos, so I don't know how other people do this, if this is what everybody does, but I like doing it this way. This, I've discovered, works really well. It feels like it's a nice, sturdy box. Okay, and then, so now, it's not, it still can be like a little bit loosey-goosey, because I can still fold this flat, right? So the last bit of glue is going to be right here in this corner where it overlaps with this. So I just want to make sure you hold these corners in, and just make sure everything comes to like that perfect. See how this is starting to open again? So just hold it until it really grabs. But the last one I did, I kind of let go a little too early. And so I just want to hold it until it grabs so you get a really nice, sharp, perfect 90-degree corner there. So I think that's good. See how it's a really nice sharp corner there. So same thing on this side, just put a little bit of adhesive in that corner and in that corner. 'Cause that's, and then I'll slide this in. Don't need a ton of adhesive, but if you're using a liquid adhesive like I am, it's good because it doesn't grab right away, but that's like a double-edged sword. It's that's also the downside. It doesn't grab right away, so you do want to pinch it, hold it for a little bit until it's had a chance to really grab. And voila, we have a fun little shadow box. So what I want to do next is I do want to decorate this, but I also want to create a little bit of a like a display stand. So I've got some black cardstock, and basically what we want is a little bit of a like a triangle like this, so that you can fold it down flat, and then you can kind of expand it and have it'll be kind of tilty a little bit, but part of it will be here, and then it'll have a little triangle so that it can hold it up. So that's my thinking, and I'm just going to use this bit of scrap here. So this part, I'm just winging it now. So doing a rectangular shadow box I've done before. So this is my second time doing it, and I feel like the process, every time you do something, you know, for me, I find ways to kind of improve every time. So I feel like this time constructing this went a little bit more smoothly. I just started on my scoreboard, but this is gonna have a little bit of a display stand. So what I'm gonna do is this, I believe it looks like it's 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm just gonna cut maybe, we'll say, 1.5 inches or so, let's say. So I'm gonna use this strip that's 1.5 inches by, I think generally I kind of have an idea for what I want to do. So there's that. Okay, so with this, 1/2 inch I want to be, it's going to be a glue tab, because this is all going to get folded to be that little sort of kickstand, and then these will fold together to attach to one another. So now I've got 8 inches. So then I want to go ahead and score that in half. Okay. So it'll be something like that. And so then what I want to do, I kind of want this to maybe be, we'll say, 3/4 of an inch, so like that. So it'll be a little bit like that. And so I want to do 3/4 of an inch on this side also, but from that 1/2 inch. So that's already 1/2 inch, and I want to go 3/4 of an inch from there. So let's see how that looks. So it'll look a little something like that. And then that 1/2 inch, the little 1/2 inch that I added at the end of that first one, that will be my glue tab. So that's how my little display stand will look. And I'll attach this to here so that it can display like that when it's attached, but then it can also fold down when, if you want to store it at the end of the year. So I think we're good. So if you need those dimensions again, because I was just kind of feeling my way through that. So this is 1.5 inches by 8.5, and then I scored it at 1/2 inch, 1 1/4, right? And then 4.5. And then this is 3/4 in from this, which would be 7 3/4. So let me double check that I gave you all the right numbers there. So 1.5 by 8.5, score it at 1/2, 1 1/4, 4.5, 7 3/4. Yep. Okay, and so now fold, mountain fold, everything except for this last one. It needs to be a valley, and that's so that we can glue those two together. So I'll just use, I'm gonna do just liquid adhesive, kind of want this to be nice and strong. So it's gonna get glued like that. So a nice thin layer, but I'm gonna try to get that thin layer really across everything. So let's get this oops, get this attached like that. So when it folds, we want it to be able to fold down flat like this. So it's going to be pretty dimensional. Lots of layers there. If you want, in order to kind of get to it, in order to burnish, this is the overlap here. That's where it's glued together. So I can burnish like that. But this ultimately wants to go like that. So that's our stand. And this is gonna get attached here. And it'll hold like that. Okay. So this then just needs to get glued to that, the back here. So I'm gonna do a combination on this one of dry adhesive and liquid adhesive, just so that I can get, now when I put adhesive, oops, if it helps fold everything in to collapse it, because you only want to put adhesive on this one side here, and not, you don't want to put any adhesive on these 3/4 inch flaps. Just this one side so that it can get adhered to the back of our frame. And give that a good burnish. So I'm not going to really be able to burnish this onto the frame because the frame is pretty dimensional, but we've got double-sided adhesive that's pretty strong, liquid adhesive that's strong. So this is 7 inches and this is 1.5. So I can kind of use my glass board. This is the halfway mark. So I've got 3.5 that way, 3.5 that way. And then I can sort of gauge half of this. It doesn't have to really be that perfect, I don't think. So I'm just gonna try to get it sort of flush, but you definitely don't want to go below. If you have to go a little bit above, see, and I didn't even push down. I just want to make sure that's in the right spot, because with the liquid glue I probably still had a little bit of time. And what I want to do is just come in with a wide flat bone folder and just do what I can in terms of burnishing that adhesive. You can't push too hard because this is hollow here. But see how this still folds down? So if you're making this as, say, like a keepsake, it's possible to fold this down, store it, and maybe I should try to make a sleeve for this too, because if you make a sleeve and it will all tuck in and fit into a sleeve, then it's great for storing. It'll keep this held down flat, and then when you want, the stand can kind of pop up and look, it can be put on display. So this is great. You could put a photo in here if you want, or can create a little bit of a Christmas scene. So I can put some sentiments in there. These are so big. I feel like this would be like a great like sign almost. It's a really lovely kind of home decor kind of project. But what's really nice is that you can really add lots of layers and, you know, create a lot of dimension and a lot of scenes. So there's loads of ephemera here. This you might want to do last after you've decorated, but I was kind of excited to try the idea out. So so I think what I'm gonna do next is create a wrap for this. Now it's rather large, so if we want to make a wrap, the punch board helps you to do that if you're gonna stick with their recommended dimensions, but the concept of the wrap is easy enough, right? So the finished size of this is 7. So we need 7 by enough to wrap all the way around this and have a little bit of an overlap so that you can glue the ends. So how much do we need all the way around? Well, this dimension in this way is 4, and I think I said 4.5. Is that right? So 4.5. Then, I mean, you could just do what I'm going to do now. You can 4.5. Then it's half an inch, so that's 5. Another 4.5 takes us to 9. And then wrap it around one more time. That's 10. 10.5. And then that's plenty. So 10 by 7, which is great because we can actually get that from a letter size sheet of paper. Okay, so let's see. This is kind of fun to make our own, little wrap here. So let's start off by cutting the 7-inch because that's what for sure we need. So 7-inch, and we're gonna cut that off. Okay. So now we have 11 by 7. Basically, what's gonna happen is this is going to wrap around until you get back to this side, and then it should overlap a little bit, and that way we can have a glue tab. And my blade looks like it's kind of dull. I've got fuzzies here. So let me just clean this up. So what I'm gonna do is, we know that each of these sides, this piece was scored at half an inch, but we need to wrap around the outside of that. So kind of need to give it like a little something extra. So I don't think I need to go a full 1/8 of an inch extra, but I think I want to go, say, like a 1/16 of an inch. So instead of putting my paper flush against this and scoring at half, what I want to do is, actually, we have this, which is extra thick. Like it's going to be extra bulk, and it's going to want to do this. So I think that's going to help it keep inside, because when you do this is the one I made during my first look video. So when you use let's just measure what they scored it at. Then we can see what they did. So they scored, if I put this up, I wonder if they did an extra. Oh, they did. Yeah, see how I've got this. If I zoom in, you can kind of see it's not all the way like an extra 1/8 of an inch. It's kind of an extra 1/16 of an inch. And the good thing about that is that it gives you just that little bit so that this will slide in kind of nicely, and it'll just be snug enough so that you can kind of slip it in and out without too much effort. But it's not so loose that it's just falling out. So they've kind of worked it out so that they know it's just perfect like that. So what I kind of want to do the same thing, but I feel like if I gave it even a little bit extra, like if I gave it a full 1/8 of an inch, this, because it's always going to spring open like this, I think this is going to help to keep it inside, plus this is adding extra bulk. So I'm going to go not half an inch, but I'm going to go actually 5/8 of an inch. So 5/8 of an inch is my first score line, and this is thick 100-pound cardstock as well. So 5/8, And let's just see before we score our next line. It is always nice to just do this to fit. So you can kind of see if I brought it all the way around and I did 5/8 on this side too, that's sort of how loosey-goosey it'll be, but I think that'll be okay because by the time we get on this side, we're gonna need that. So what I think is the safest thing to do possibly is to just hold it like this, and then I'm just gonna do a little pencil mark right here where I want to put my next score line. We'll see what that ends up being, but I feel like that's going to be a really safe bet. So this first one was 5/8, and then this is going to be about 5 1/4, which kind of makes sense because we need this to go 4 1/2, and then you want to go an extra 1/8 of an inch. So yeah. Oh yeah, you could do this also. And then you don't want to put the extra 1/8 of an inch. We're only putting the extra 1/8 along what would be that gusset for the 1/2 inch. So yeah, that does bring us to 5 1/4. So that works too. It's good to kind of confirm, double check these things a couple different ways. And then I want to go 5/8 from there. So I just counted 5/8. So let's fold these and burnish. I don't think I ever burnished this first one. And there's a second one here. And I'm gonna do the same thing, kind of measure it to fit for that last score line, which will be a glue tab. But let's just double check that this is all gonna fit okay. So there's that. Yep. See how there's that little bit extra, but we kind of need that bulk because of the display stand. So kind of the same thing. If I've got this edge here, I basically want to I'll put that like on my 6-inch line, for example, and then put this down right next to it. And I basically kind of want to see what that brings me to and score right on the outside. So there's that. And then this becomes a little bit of a glue tab because this will overlap with this piece here. So there we go. So we'll have that overlap and everything will fold down, and that actually worked out nicely. We did actually end up needing the entire 11, so I'm glad I didn't trim anything down. Okay, so then I want to get, let's make sure this is nice and straight. I think one of these got a little crooked. So let's just straighten everything up and burnish. And then, okay, so this is our glue tab. So I'm just going to put double-sided adhesive and a line of liquid adhesive too, just so that it's nice and permanent. This is going to fold down flat right on top of it. Then can of adhesive, liquid adhesive, so that it's nice and permanent, and fold this right on top. And burnish. Okay. So now we have a sleeve that can also accommodate the little kickstand, and it's still, it looks like it's loosey-goosey, but it's actually pretty snug in there because that kickstand wants to bounce, you know, it wants to spring out like that. So it's keeping the tension and holding it in there. Ooh, that turned out so good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, I mainly wanted to show the mechanics of this. So what I'm gonna do is just decorate off camera, and then I'll come back and show you the final frame. Okay, check it out. Here is the final decorated sleeve. I didn't do anything on the back. I did make sure that as I was decorating the seam, it's more on the back side since I did decorate the sleeve. And I kind of had this idea of putting the nutcrackers on the sides of the frame, but they do pop out a little bit from the sleeve, but that's okay. I think it just gives you maybe something to grab onto. But it pulls out really easily. So we made a custom sleeve and a custom size shadow box with a little stand so that this displays really nicely. And I just use some of the ephemera to, you can kind of see the foam behind there. So I've got a lot of different dimensions. So 1 layer of foam, 2 layers of foam, and then 3. And then right to the frame itself, I did a little bit of low profile. Actually, I put 3D glue gel behind this one and that one. And then these in the middle here are all glued directly to the back. So I thought about putting, because there are some, I think there are some doves in the ephemera pack, and I thought about putting some on the top, but in order for it to still fit into the sleeve, you definitely can't go above and below. So you can't go below because if you want it to stand, it needs to be flush down there. You can't go above because of the sleeve. Left to right, it's okay to extend beyond the frame, because if it pokes out, it's open on those 2 edges anyway. So that's okay, but you can't really put anything above here or else you won't be able to fit it into the sleeve. And so I just decided to skip that part. But I love how this turned out. The little custom stand is really nice. So I would definitely, because I know I've made shadow boxes like this and I put a photo back here as a present even. And so I think this would make for a really lovely gift. And it's really great if you want to make it as a keepsake and, you know, use some specialty paper even to really make it special. And especially since it does have the stand that can fold down, it makes it really convenient to bring out each year and put on display, or just to leave it up all year long. If we're past the holiday time, this could be a great any time of year kind of present. And if you have like your kids' artwork, for example, it might be fun to put that on display. So just kind of something really fun and a little bit different. So I'm having a real blast with the shadow box punch board by We Are Makers. So I'm gonna leave everything in the links to everything in the description box below. I picked up mine from scrapbook.com, but there's lots of places to get the punch board. And of course, all of the holiday themed things are from the Spellbinders Merry Moments mega card making kit. I'll leave links to that in the description box also. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.